Hello and welcome to episode 13. 14? 13? Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Knitting Pickle Podcast. My name is Laura and you can find me here on YouTube and Instagram as Penrose Knits. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, hello and welcome. I'm a knitter based in the Midlands in the UK and I make podcasts about all my knitting projects that I'm working on, that I finished, and I've also dipped my toe into the world of vlogging, but a little bit more about that later. If you are a regular watcher, then welcome back. Big cuddles to you. I'm so glad to have you here and thank you for waiting. It's been a hot minute. It's been a little while, hasn't it? It's been about 4 weeks actually since I've last recorded, and that's the longest gap I've ever had between podcasts. It's just been a busy few weeks. My husband was away for a little while and I've just had like lots of stuff to be doing, but it is finally Wednesday, the kids are at nursery and I've got a little bit of time to record. My husband is off picking up his new car today, so he's got the morning off work, so he could come in and disturb me at any minute. I have warned him that I'm filming, but we'll see. Maybe you'll get to see Mr. Penrose Knits, probably not. But yeah, so hopefully we can get through everything before he gets home. And there's a lot. I mean, it's been a month. So as you can expect, there's a fair amount of things to be showing you. And within that time, I also went to the creative craft show at the Birmingham NEC with my mum and my sister, and I picked up a few bits there. I haven't got everything with me, but I've just picked like a few bits to show you. So I do have quite a few finished objects today, but they're reasonably similar, so I won't like dwell on each one for too long. I've got two, is it really only two active whips? Yeah, well, to be fair, I've got a few resting whips, which I'm not going to show you because I haven't done anything on them for a while, but yeah, only two active whips. Amazing. Kind of, 2.5, 3. I digress. And a few acquisitions. So grab yourself a beverage, grab your project, and let's get into it. Oh, before we start, I just want to say a little thank you to everyone who's gone and watched my first vlog. It was a bit of a random decision. Basically, last week I ran out of time to podcast, so I just thought, do you know what? Let's have a little go at the vlogging. I love watching vlogs, and recently I've been rewatching all of the Crazy Sock Lady vlogmases. I know you all know about the Crazy Sock Lady. She's a podcasting veteran. She's just, you know, a wonderful person to watch. But I'd never really watched her vlogs before. And I was like, I'm feeling a bit festive. Let's watch some vlogmas from someone. And I've literally, she's done them for like 4 years now, and I've watched every single, well, no, not every single episode. I've got about 4 episodes left of like 2017, which I'm saving. And it's been making me feel so festive. And I thought, you know what? I really enjoy watching vlogs. I'll have a go at making one. I did dabble in the world of vlogging a couple of years ago when my son was a baby, but it was very different. It was like no talking, just images, kind of like mum life thing. And I enjoyed it at the time, but I found it was taking me away from my son and being in the moment quite a lot. And I'm glad I did it because I've got some really lovely videos of that time, and I recently rewatched them actually, and they were really, really nice to watch. But it wasn't something I could do long term really. So I decided if I was going to do it again, I was going to do it when it was a day away from the kids. The kids were in the vlog a little bit just because they, you know, I don't have the whole day away from them, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I do intend to do some more vlogs because you guys seem to enjoy it too. Like traditionally across, you know, whatever size channel, big, small, vlogs tend to be less watched than things like podcasts. And that's because I know that vlogs aren't everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally fine. But for those of you whose cup of tea it was, thank you again for supporting that little video. I am umming and ahhing about whether to do vlogmas or not. I obviously love watching them, but it seems like a lot of work to do it every day. So if I do decide to do it, I'm not gonna commit to doing it every single day. My life doesn't really I don't have a routine where I can make that possible. I never know how much sleep I'm gonna get per night. We never really know what kind of day we're gonna have with the kids. So I'm definitely not gonna commit to doing it every single day. So I would like to do it weekdays maybe. My husband's got quite a lot of time off over Christmas, like a day or two every week, We've got a trip to Devon in the middle of December. We've got lots of nice things going on. So I think I will at least aim to do a video once a week, if not 2 or 3. But we'll see. I'm not going to commit. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's get on with it. Now, you may have noticed that I'm wearing something a little bit special. And this is my first finished object, and obviously what I'm wearing today. I'm just going to put my coffee down. This is, for any long-time viewers, this is my Little Sparks, my size. It's finally finished, and I'm so pleased with it. I will do the appropriate cutaway so you can see what it's actually like on my body. But I finished this, I mentioned it in the last episode actually, that I wanted to finish it in time for the Creative Craft Show, and I did, and I wore it. And also at the Creative Craft Show, my sister wore her Magnolia Bloom that I made for her, and it looked so good on her. I was so pleased to see her in it. And my mum wore a jumper I made for her birthday last year. I can't remember what it was called, but it was by More Thunder, and it's like a Aran colourwork, but quite graphic, simple colourwork jumper, which I made for her last year. It was actually the first colourwork jumper I'd ever done. I couldn't look too closely at it because I did spot some like dodge bits, but it was so nice to see my mum wearing it. And I made it in acrylic yarn, so it's grown quite a bit, so I am tempted to give that one another go because it was a really fun pattern, and I'll put a picture of it up for you obviously so you can see the one I'm talking about. But yeah, that was a really good first colourwork pattern because it was quite simple. Anyway, so yes, Little Sparks. I wore it every day for I think 5 days in a row, and I haven't washed it yet. I haven't felt the need to. I haven't spilt on it yet, and the only thing that's a little bit like is it's pilling quite a lot. This is a Sandnes Garn double Sunday with petite knit, and it's 100% merino. Oh my god, I've got this one little hair. I've got this one hair. Come on. It's 100% merino, so it's going to pill. That's just the nature of merino, and it's pilled particularly on the arms, a little bit on the underarm, and I've noticed a little bit on the back as well, and I guess that's where like my coat has been rubbing and stuff. But I gave it a quick shave this morning, and the pills came off quite nicely, and to be honest, I don't really mind the pilling. I know the pilling will stop eventually with washing and with shaving. I need to get an electronic shaver, that's for sure. But it is in the shades Dusty Rouge and Whipped Cream, and I love it. I'm so pleased with it. The response to it over on Instagram has been astounding, and I am doing my best to get the pattern finished, but it's a lot of work. I am aiming to be as size inclusive as possible, so that's a lot of grading, and I'm determined to do it myself because I want to learn how to do it, and I've got the time to do it. But it's tricky, so I'm working on it as and when I feel like it. It's the bones of the pattern are there now. I've just kind of got to fill in the blanks basically. The Little Sparks mini, the children's version, the pattern is pretty much ready to go. I've just recently adjusted the largest size, so I need to send it back to my tech editor, but I kind of forgot to do that last week. So the call for that test will be soon. I'm a little bit hesitant to do the test call just yet because I know that the majority of knitters are working on Christmas gifts and stuff now. So starting a test knit at this time of year isn't necessarily the best thing. So what I might do is either hold out until after Christmas or do it kind of a week or two before, but it'll be a reasonably long kind of test, I think. Anyway, I'm massively digressing, and I've got a little hair and a little bit of fluff. So yeah, this is my Little Sparks, my size. It's my own design, and I'm mega proud of it. Moving on, right, finished objects. I've got a few. Let's start with one that's going to be quite quick. And last episode, I showed you my school run hat and school run fingerless mitts, and I was preparing to release the patterns. I have since released the patterns, and as a little surprise, along with those two, I also released the school run headband. I was secretly testing this. My testers for the hat and the mittens did so well and did it so quickly that I asked them if they would help me with this, and I took on a few little extra test knitters that I did a little that I found on Instagram late at night actually. Cheeky. And I was able to test and get this edited and released at the same time as the hat and the mittens, and I'm so pleased, because I usually prefer headbands to hats, especially when it's raining. I don't know why, but I tend to get like quite hot when it's raining if I'm wearing a hat, so I prefer to shove my hair up. And I find if I've got a headband on, then I can still keep, obviously I've not got the hairdo for it today, but I can keep my ears warm but without getting too hot, and that's why I prefer a headband. This one is made with Filcolana Arvetta, of course, in the colour Red Squirrel. It's the same as the hat, and it's held double. It's worked flat and then seamed at the very end, and it is a really simple knit. It's stockinette, so back and forth, so knitting and purling, and the little picot edges are made as you're working it flat, and then all the magic is in the seaming, really. You seam along the inside. I recommend mattress stitch, but you can sew it up however you like, just as long as it is loose, because if you do it too tight, then you will lose the stretch of the headband. You won't be able to get it on your head. And then the little knot is super simple. You just kind of take the two like flat ends, make them into like a C shape and go like that, and then sew through all the layers, turn it inside out, and you get this gorgeous little knot. So yeah, that's the School Run headband. I was absolutely blown away by the support for those patterns when I released them. It was my biggest release by far. It was 3 patterns in one go, and I just couldn't believe it. They've done really well, and sometimes it's a little bit like, oh, do you talk about that kind of thing? But you know, I think we should. The patterns did really well. They're selling great, and they're still selling now, and I'm really proud of that, because I worked really hard on them. So thank you for everyone who has supported me by buying those patterns. There was a little discount in the first week, but there is a permanent offer that you can get all 3 patterns for £7. They're normally £3 each, so it's effectively buy 2 get 1 for £1, but you can get all 3 for £7. And I've seen a lot of people are doing them for Christmas knits. I knit this in a day, so if you've got like a weekend where you just sat at home all day knitting, you could easily bosh out a pair of mittens or a headband or even a hat. They come from baby all the way up to adult, so they're also really great for like a little matching set for mummy and me, which I think is really cute. And you could always use the patterns as a basis and just omit the picot edge and just do like a straight edge, and you've got a slightly more unisex look, because this does lean towards the girly, I think. But we have had quite a few baby sizes done for baby boys, and it also looks freaking adorable in my opinion. So there you go, that's the School Run headband. And before I get too mushy, let's move on. Next up, we have another hat whilst we're on the subject, and this was possibly one of the quickest knits I've ever done. As I mentioned earlier, my husband went away week before last week, yeah, to Sweden for work, and I made him a little going away present of a little hat. It's mega simple. It's just a 1x1 rib hat basically. It's just like you knit in a tube and then decrease for the crown. I used Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool in the shade Burnt Sienna, which is an Aran weight. I used 4.5mm needles, and I just cast on 88 stitches and knit 1x1 rib, and then I did the crown decreases like a classic 4-point crown decrease using the CDD technique, which is centre double decrease, where you basically decrease 2 stitches at once, and it looks like they both like go into that central column, and I absolutely love that look. I have since realised that this is probably a little bit small. I did it in 1x1 rib so that it was mega stretchy, and obviously it is super stretchy and fits on his head, and I've worn this as well, and it fits on my head fine, but it's quite tight, and that's quite nice, but it's not the most relaxed of fits. This fits my son really well. He is 4, so I think it's a 1x1 ribbed hat, it's nothing new. I probably won't mark the pattern up for it, but if I was, then I would probably put this as like a child size and then go up 8 stitches for like an adult small, another 8. So basically multiples of 8 until you get about the right size. I won't put it on because done the hair. But yeah, so that was just a little quick project. I cast this on, I think it was at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I finished it at about 8 o'clock at night. And then like washed it and chucked it on the radiator and wrapped it up with 20 minutes to spare. So this literally was a 1-day project, but that was like all day knitting. My kids were a little bit poorly that day. Oh no, they'd been at nursery for 2 days in a row and they were shattered. So all we wanted to do was sit at home and chill. So I was able to bosh that out pretty quickly. So I'd say you can get a child's hat done in a day if you've got nothing else to do. I did have to have a little rest afterwards because of the 1x1 rib. My hands got quite sore afterwards. So even though it's possible, I wouldn't necessarily recommend trying to do it in a day just for the health of your hands. But just so you know, this was about 10 hours worth of work for me. And I'm quite quick at 1x1 rib now because I really enjoy it. I find it really satisfying. Let's move on. Oh God. I hit my house plant. Whoops. Next up, I have a finished object and a half finished object, but they are part of a little set, and it is a new design. I cast this on because I wanted to create a ribbed hat, but I wanted to create a ribbed hat that was more interesting than the one I've just chucked across the other side of the room. Well done, Laura. Something had a little bit more interest, that played with kind of gauge and yarn weight and was just a bit more interesting to knit than your normal ribbed hat. And I was also incredibly inspired by a new yarn that I bought. This would normally go into acquisitions, I guess, but I'll talk about it now because we're about to talk about what I've made with it. On the day that I went to the Creative Craft Fair, it was so much fun. It was a great day, but it wasn't that like yarn based or knitty based. I did get some yarn, which I'll show you later, but it was nothing new or exciting. So when I got home, I saw that it was the release day for the Along avec Anna yarn. Along avec Anna is a French designer, but she lives in Devon in the UK. She's got gorgeous children's patterns, as you might be seeing in a minute, and adult patterns as well. Very chic. I know that's cliche to say of a French designer, but very, very chic. Gorgeous patterns, and well written patterns as well, and well designed patterns, I feel. And so because I didn't come away from the crasher with anything kind of special and unique, I saved a little bit of my budget and I thought I'm going to buy some Along avec Anna yarn, and my God, I'm glad I did. Possibly the nicest mohair I've felt in my life. I mean, I've not been feeling mohair for very long, but from what I've experienced, it's definitely my favourite so far. So she's released 2 yarns. She's released the Merino 4-ply fingering weight. It's 100% superwash merino, 200 meters for 50 grams. And this is in the shade, how do you say it? Tourmaline, and I think that's like a type of like gemstone, like a pink gemstone, and I bought the same in the mohair. This is 210 meters for 25 grams, so nice yardage on that. And I wish you could feel this through the camera. They are both exquisitely soft, like exquisitely. I can't even begin to explain to you. They are both traceable, cruelty free. Obviously cruelty free anyway, but when they harvest the silk from the silkworms for this one, they don't get killed in the process. So it's cruelty free, muesling, I'm not sure how to say that or what it means, but it's free of that. And it's super high standard. It's 72% fine kid mohair and 28% mulberry silk. And I asked Anna, why is it so soft? I wouldn't normally dream of putting mohair on my head because I get an itchy forehead, so I wouldn't bother. But I was like, I wanted to feel this on my head, it's so soft. And she said because it's the quality of the silk, the super high quality of the mulberry silk is what gives it its extra softness. And yeah, it's just stunning. I also bought it in, I originally bought 2 merino and 1 mohair, but I've bought more of this since because I needed more. And I also bought 2 merino and 1 mohair in the shade Tomat. It's like tomato, and it's not like a rust. It's definitely more of like a terracotta-y, pinky reddy rusty colour, like a tomato. And I'm not sure what I'm going to make with this yet. Potentially another one of the hats I'm about to show you, or I did also consider making like a little bralette from it. It's so soft and luxurious. I think it would be really nice against the skin, but I still need to finish my other like cropped bralette thing that still has its straps to be done. So I'll finish that before I cast that on. But yes, this is what I've got in mind for that. So that's the yarn. Let's show you the project. I have made myself a little ribbed hat. This is the, haven't weaved the ends in yet. This is the second time I've knit this hat, because the first time round, it wasn't a very good fit. So I ripped it back since. So it's got a 2x2 ribbed brim and a 1x1 slipped rib body. And by slipped rib, what I mean is you knit one, purl one on one round, and then you slip one, purl one on the next round. And what that does is it creates this kind of squishy, stretchy rib that looks like brioche, kind of, and looks like fisherman's rib, but it's a little bit simpler to do. And I know this is a thing that's probably already existed, but I hadn't seen it anywhere before, and I thought, oh, I wonder what it would look like if I slipped a stitch every other round. And I'm really pleased with the results. With the original hat, I did the 2x2 for like double the length that you see here, and then folded it up. But what that meant was that because this section of the hat was looser than this section of the hat, it felt like the hat was like pulling up and popping off, so it wasn't that comfortable to wear. So I ripped it all the way back and did the 1x1 to cover the whole head, and then the 2x2 just folds up and covers that up, so it's a bit more comfortable to wear. Another thing I did as a little kind of fun experiment is for the brim, I just held one strand of the merino and one strand of mohair together, so it's delicate and light and a slightly loose gauge because it was on 4mm needles. And then for the body of the hat, I added in another strand of merino, so 2 strands of merino, 1 strand of mohair, which pretty much took it up to a worsted Aran weight, and I went up to 4.5mm needles. So you've got this kind of light floaty brim, kind of in contrast to the slightly thicker, squishier hat, and I just thought it was quite a nice look. And it also means that the brim is a little bit lighter. My schoolrun hat is a triple folded brim, and that's because I wanted something really warm and squishy around the ears, whereas with this one I wanted something a little bit more lightweight and less heavy on the head. So there you go, that's my ribbed beanie. It has got a name, but I'm not going to share it yet because I kind of want to wait until I know 100% this is going to go forward as a pattern. I've not written it up yet, but it's all there in notes. I just need to write it up really. So yeah, the only problem with this one is I knit it the same length as the previous one I did, but with the previous one I forgot to go up a needle size for the body, so the stitches were slightly smaller. So when you wash and block this stitch, like fisherman's rib and like brioche, it grows in length and width. So it's a little bit too long for my head. And I'm not really a fan of you could wear it quite slouchy, but I feel like it's not quite slouchy enough. It just looks a bit wrong. So I'm going to rip it back again, but all I have to do is rip past through the decreases and take a little bit of length. I think I only need to take ½ an inch off, maybe even an inch, and we'll be good. The decrease method for the crown is the same as the one I made for my husband, just using centre double decreases. I just really like the way that it looks. So there you go, that's my hat, and to match I have a half finished object because I've got one of them and there should be 2. I made a matching mitten. I'm really pleased with this mitten, though I did have to rip back the end quite a few times and it's not quite right. You can see when I hold it up that the proportions are a bit off, the hand is too short, but it was quite tricky to tell how long to do it because it grows. So I did the 2x2 with 2 strands on 4mm for the cuff and have folded it double so that you can either have like a cozy kind of wrist going on, or if you wanted to put it all the way down your arm and put your coat over it so you don't get any gaps here, you're covered. But I would probably wear it like this. And then I changed to the slipped rib for the hand. You can see that it's a little bit short because the thumb is kind of pulling up. The base of my thumb is actually down here, so this should be down there like that, but because this is too short, it's pulling it up. So if we had a bit more length here, then this wouldn't be happening. I am mega proud of myself for this thumb gusset. I did it slightly different to my school run mittens. For the school run mittens, the increases, so you see this column here, the increases came out of that column, so that she kind of it created a different kind of thumb gusset look. Whereas for this one, I took them from the outside of the hand rather than the inside of the hand. So yeah, that's probably the best way to explain it. Instead of coming from the inside of the hand, the increases, they came from the outside, which has created this really kind of fun curve that goes up the thumb. And I just think it's really lovely, and I'm very proud of myself for that. And as you can see on the outside of the thumb, it's kind of like a double stripe. The increases don't come out of one column of knit, they come out of two. So I decided to keep with that, and originally I had that double column and the decreases for the hand going into that column, but it didn't really work with the shape of the hand, and it was pulling this kind of like center columns apart from each other and just didn't look that great. So I ripped it back, and instead I basically did the same decreases as I did for the top of the hat, but at slightly different rates and with slightly different like stitch counts between decreases. I know this probably doesn't make very much sense, but you get the gist. So yeah, that's the little matching mitten, and I'm mega pleased with it. It's so warm and squishy. I really need to cast the second one on because I want to be able to wear them. But as I said before, I'm going to rip back the decreases and extend the hand just a little bit. So there you go. Final finished object is a teeny tiny little cardigan. I went to a birthday party recently, and I saw a friend who I haven't seen for literally at least a year, I think, and she's expecting her third baby, and she ever so kindly invited me to her baby shower, and I was so honoured that she invited me, even though we hadn't seen each other for so long. But it's on the one day in December that I couldn't do. I'm absolutely gutted because I love baby showers, honestly. They're like one of my favourite events to go to. So I thought, I can't go to a baby shower, so I am of course going to knit something that I can give to my friend who is going to give to her on her baby shower day. She is expecting a little boy, so I had a little look online and I was like, hang on a minute. I saw a little pattern for a stripy cardigan the other day, which I really liked, and so that's what I did. It hasn't got buttons yet, but you kind of get the idea. So this is the cardigan from the Charlie's Day Set by Along Avec Anna, and I knit this in a day, over 2 days. I cast this on at like 6 o'clock in the evening one night, and I finished it by tea time the next day. You might not be able to tell the colour here, but obviously I do cutaways. But this is the Phil Kalana. How many times have I said Phil Kalana today? This is the Phil Kalana Pernia, which is actually the suggested yarn, but I happen to have in stash. This is a fantastic stash buster. This is the newborn size, but I think it's quite generous for a newborn size, so it should fit the baby for quite a long time. Baby is due in January, so it's the perfect time for knitwear. So yes, it's the Panilla, and it's in like the off-white shade and like a very dark green shade. I'm not sure what the name or the number is, but it's basically a dark green, so it kind of sometimes reads navy, sometimes reads grey, but it's actually green. And it was just an absolute pleasure to knit. It was so satisfying because you knit it so quickly. I did one of the sleeves in an hour, like that's it. I didn't cut my yarn between stripes because who's got time for that many ends? I just focus. It is worked flat, top down, raglan increasing, so you're working the body flat in stockinette stitch. So I carried the green yarn along the edge, and then the sleeves are obviously worked in the round, and I didn't bother attempting to do jogless stripes because It's a baby jumper and no one would notice because the arms are down there. It's baby cardigan, sorry. I did make one little mistake on this one, and that is instead of going down a needle size, so instead of going down a needle size for the ribbing on the bottom and on the button bands, I actually went up a needle size. I think I was working on quite a lot of different projects at the time and I just got a little bit confused. But of all the places to make that mistake, it's probably the least important place to make it. And actually, I think it looks fine. I did Italian bind off for the bottom and for the cuffs, which you may say is a little bit extra for a baby cardigan that will be worn for approximately 2 months. But I can't not do it. And I did consider doing the Italian bind off for the button bands, but in the end, I just did your normal like knit one, knit two, slip one over bind off, because I thought it looked really pretty, and you kind of want a bit more stability on those button bands. If it's like mega stretchy, you might find your buttons slip out of the buttonholes. And I just think it looks really cute. So I really enjoyed knitting that one. The set comes with little kind of like joggers, little trousers, which are just plain. There's no stripes or anything, but they've got like a little I-cord tie and a folded waistband and a bonnet. If I have time and I need a little palette cleanser, I might do the matching trousers because they are adorable. And I've got 2.5, 3 weeks, so I might do that. I'm not too sure yet because I've got enough of the green. I'll probably do it in green. If I don't have time for the trousers, I might do a little matching hat. I'm not too sure. So yeah, and I just need to find the right buttons. I have got some wooden buttons that look quite nice, but I think I would like to have dark green buttons to go with. So next time I'm in town, I'll nip into the haberdashery and get some buttons, I think. So there we go. That is all. No, it's not. There's one more finished object, but I can't find it. So I can only assume that Mr. Penrose Knits is wearing them. It was my husband's birthday whilst he was away in Sweden, and we celebrated when he came home, and I made him a pair of socks. If you haven't watched my little day in the life vlog yet, go and have a little look because I show them and talk about them quite in depth because I was knitting them that day. It's just a broken rib heel flap and gusset sock, which started off as a self draft but finished up being one of the socks from the Summerlee Knits sock collection. I can't remember what it's called and I couldn't remember in the vlog. It's like a seaside themed sock set and there's like 5 different socks in it, and one of them is a broken rib DK sock. So I came into a bit of trouble with the heel, so I found her pattern and referenced that and was able to kind of get through it. I hope he's wearing them today because I can't find them. So I'm like, what have you done with them? So I will insert a picture of them here or a little video so you can see what they are. But that was a fun little knit. I did them in 3 days. They're a DK weight, and I used my Lang Yarvol held double for that. I didn't use the reinforcing thread for the heel in the end because I actually found it quite fiddly and annoying to add it in, and it changed the gauge of the heel understandably. Now I'm pretty sure that is mainly because I held it double and it was just like one strand too much because it was effectively a DK weight yarn and I was using 3.5mm needles. It was quite a tight gauge. You'd normally be using like 4mm I think for DK, but because it's a sock you want it to be quite a tight gauge, and just adding in another strand, it just was like, it was just a bit much, so I didn't do that in the end. And I have quite a lot of my rusty coloured one left, so I'm hoping to get like a normal pair of like 4-ply socks out of that where I can use the reinforcing thread for the heels and toes, so I can let you know a bit better about that then. So yes, it's been quite a productive month and I've obviously finished quite a lot of little things. I have finished one big thing, but to be fair, I only had like half a sleeve to go on this since I last showed it you. So my main big projects I'm still working on. So I should probably show you my whips. I'm going to start with my main jump whip, and it is my test knit for Lizzie from Hive Knits, and it is called the First Sweater. When I last showed this to you, I think I had separated for sleeves and body, or I was about to potentially, But since then I have finished the body and I have started a sleeve. Now, I have potentially done my body a little bit short and I was a little bit concerned, wobbly. I was already a little bit concerned that it was going to be too short for me. I've got a long old torso. A lot of my body length is in my torso, but I wanted to stick to the original pattern as much as possible so that I could give Lizzie an accurate yardage, because I can always go back and add length if I need to. But I measured and measured and measured, but I'm still a centimetre short on the body. So it's currently cropped, that's for sure, which is fine because I wear high-waisted jeans anyway, but I do like to have a little bit extra length so I can do a French tuck. But I've spoken to Lizzie about it and she says that I should be able to block a bit more length into it. So I'm hoping I can get away with the body length. And the sleeves I've done, this is how much I did last night. The sleeves are in half fisherman's rib and the body is in stockinette. I'm using 3.5mm needles. And oh my god, come on Laura, you can tell it's been a while. I'm using 3.5mm needles, and this is Phil Kalana again, Arvetta again, held with drops Kid Silk. I cannot remember the name of these shades, but I'll put everything as usual in the description box. And it's 3.5mm needles across the rib and the body, and I use 3mm on the folded neckline. It's raglan increasing, and I'm so excited to wear this, I'm not going to lie. This feels like a truly luxurious garment. It's the first time I've knit a whole jumper in this size needle, so I've not really experienced this kind of fabric before. It's so drapey, and even though it's me that's made it, I'm very aware of the hours and hours and hours I've put into this. It still just doesn't look like something I've made. It's just, oh my god, I'm so excited to wear it. The rib on the bottom, it's 2.5 inches of rib, and I very, very much appreciate the deep rib. I love a deep rib on a jumper, and this is definitely deeper than your average. I mean, it took a while, not gonna lie, and the Italian bind off took even longer, but I can't not. It's just such a professional, gorgeous finish. So if I do have to rip that ribbon back to extend the body, then that's not going to be a fun day, but I think it'll be worth it, because if it's too short I won't wear it, and that will just be a waste of so many hours. So I'm now working on the sleeves, and you can see my little progress keeper there, that's where I started, and that's how much I did of the sleeve last night over a couple of hours. And for the sleeves, because it is half fisherman's rib, they are going to stretch lengthways quite a lot. So you don't actually have to knit a full length sleeve, you knit it to like about here. This is a third of the sleeve basically. So if you can imagine that again and again, it's going to seem quite short, but I am assured that they will grow. And again, I'm going to do it to pattern because I want to make sure I'm as accurate as possible. And again, if they're too short in the arm, I can just rip back the cuff and add a little bit of length. What I'm probably going to do is finish this sleeve, knit the cuff, put the stitches on hold before I do the Italian bind off on the cuff, because in doing Italian bind off, you might as well just cut the yarn away. It's not worth it, especially in mohair. And then part block it. So I'll soak the whole thing, block it, block the sleeves to the measurement, block the body to the right measurement, and then see how the fit is before I knit the second sleeve. That way I'm not having to do like rip back 2 cuffs kind of thing, and I can get an accurate garment quicker. Lizzie part blocked her original sample, so I know it should be okay. So yeah, that's my first sweater. The deadline for this test is Boxing Day, but I would really, really, really like to get this finished. Sorry, I keep kicking the little table that you're on and you're wobbling because you're on a bendy arm. I would really like to get this finished in time for a little Christmas dinner I'm going to with some girlfriends. We're going out on the 4th of December, which is in, not this weekend, coming weekend after, so a week and a half. I'm going to have to work pretty exclusively on this, I think, if I'm going to get it done in time. But I can just imagine wearing it with like tight white jeans and some heels, nice hair, and it's just going to be like total wintry knitwear vibes, but like posh. I think that's the thing with this. I just get this element, this feeling of luxury, and gorgeousness. So yeah, we will see. Hopefully this will be finished the next time I show it to you, but I'm not going to put the pressure on myself, because if I don't get to wear this for my meal out with my friends, then I'll get to wear it many other times, maybe even on Christmas Day. We will see. Now, my second major whip shouldn't really still be a whip, but unfortunately it is still a whip, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to guess what it is. It's my Shawlography. I am still going on this bad boy. I will stretch out the bits that are done. I'm on clue number 4. Oh yeah, sorry, trigger warning, spoiler warning. If you're trying to avoid the clues for Shawlography, I mean, well done for you for trying to avoid it, but the pattern is officially released now, so there you go. And I have worked, I'm about halfway through the last section basically, and it is this controversial striped border. So you can see what I've done so far. I am using Drops Nord, which is like mainly alpaca with a little bit of wool and a little bit of nylon, and I'm very much enjoying this yarn. It's so nice. The alpaca fuzz is subtle but lovely, it's drapey, it's soft, the colours are fantastic. I really like this yarn, and I want to get this finished soon because I want to use my leftovers for socks for Christmas presents, so I really need to get a shift on. But you can see what it's going to look like in the end, and as I said, I am about halfway. I've got that much to go, which doesn't look like very much, but each of these stripes, I don't know how long each of them take me. I haven't timed myself for a while, but yeah, it takes a little while. And I basically really lost momentum on this one, because at first I was not a fan of the striped border. It felt like an anticlimax design wise and like process wise. I just kind of thought, after like all this intricate amazingness, this just kind of felt a little bit flat to finish with, if I'm honest. However, oh, there's a tiny little bird off the balcony. Hello, little guy. Oh, I would take you off to, oh, he's gone away. But yeah, fab. Yeah, a little bit of an anticlimax. This felt a bit flat compared to the rest. However, now I've seen loads of finished ones, I get it. And then I also kind of think, let's think about the theme here: Shawlography, choreography with yarn, you know, movement, contrast, in and out. And if you think of a dance, it's not always, well, I guess some dances, but when I think about dance, I think, you know, there's like contrast in dance. So you've got all this craziness in the middle, but then you've got a moment of calm. And also, you know, you've got this kind of, these wedges are a moment of calm as well, and then you get a little moment of fun, and then back to the calm. So I understand the design decision now, and I do quite like it. However, I do still kind of feel like it was a bit of an anticlimax process-wise. This has been a massive process knit for me. If I saw this beforehand, I probably wouldn't choose to knit this. And my intention is to give it to my grandma, which is another reason I'm ploughing through this border, because I really want to give it to my grandma for her birthday, which is the 14th, I think, of December. Or is it like the 8th? I'm not too sure. It's soon-ish anyway. So I want to get this done. And because this was a process knit for me, like all of this was like so amazing to knit and fun and exciting. And then when I saw the process for the border, it was a bit like, oh, it's just like plain knitting. And even though like the I-cord loops and the whelps and the crisscross stitch, it was like quite long and difficult, it was still interesting because it was nothing I'd done before. Whereas this is a little bit like, it's a bit boring to knit, if I'm honest. And I should have just ploughed through right at when the clue came out. I should have put all my other projects down and focused on this and got it done like so many other people did. I've officially lost the knot race. Vying for second place, I've definitely come last. Technically second to last, but I feel like our little 5th member she went through a lot during Shawlography, and I don't think it's classed as losing. I feel like it was gracefully stepping out of the race. So yeah, I've definitely lost. next year. And this is the thing, even though the end's been a little bit of a climax, I am 100% going to do the MCAL again next year because I've enjoyed it so much. And I know I'm going to enjoy this finished object. I'm going to enjoy giving it to my grandma. I'm going to enjoy talking her through all the different stitches, and I'm going to enjoy it coming back to me again one day. So yes, I would definitely do the MCAL again, but I think next time I'm going to be a little bit wiser and not take a test knit on at the same time, and like clear my knitting schedule for the month of October so that I can 100% focus on this thing. Whew, okay, that's all of it. That's all the projects we've currently got going on. I've now got some acquisitions for you, but before we go into acquisitions, I've got a little bit of an update on a future plan, which I'm just going to show you ever so quickly. Last episode I showed you that I had bought the Drops Nepal to make the single malt sweater by Max the Knitter, and I was a little bit unsure on the colour because it looks a lot brighter in real life than it did on the website. I thought I was getting more of a navy, and this is definitely more of like a tealy bright thing. However, I swatched, and here's my little swatch. It looks like a little miniature rug, doesn't it? It looks like a little, yeah, which is the right side? That's the right side. It looks like a little rug. So maybe I'll give it to my daughter to put in a little like dollhouse or something. But due to the nature of the stitch, which is, I'm not entirely sure what it's called. It's a bit like moss stitch or seed stitch, but you've got like a row of knit in between. So it's like staggered knits and pearls. But because of that texture, you get quite a lot of shadow. Like the bumps create shadow, which darkens the overall colour that you get. Does that make sense? Do you see what I mean? Like this, I swear the skein looks brighter than the swatch. So I'm excited to get on with this. It is intended to be my husband's Christmas present, and he just told me yesterday all the time he's going to take off over December because he basically had quite a bit more holiday left over than he thought. So I basically got to finish this by the 20th of December. However, he is away again in Sweden for a couple of days the week before then, so I will have like 3 or 4 clear days of him not being here at all to kind of finish it off. But between now and then he's basically working like 3 or 4 days a week every week in December, so I've really got to get this done. And we're also going to Devon for a few days in December, so I can't work on it then. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get this finished or not. It's Aran weight, and my husband's kind of like, he's similar size to me basically, so it shouldn't take too long, but I basically really need to get cracking. This is going to definitely take priority. I think once I've either finished the first sweater or Shawlography, then this is going to take priority because I can feasibly knit an Aran weight jumper in 2 weeks. We'll see. So yeah, that's what's happening with that little update. Let's do some acquisitions. If acquisitions aren't your cup of tea, then you can pop down into the description box and you'll see timestamps, and you can skip ahead to the Knitty Chat, or you can just go on your merry way. Thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, I went to the Creative Craft Show, and at the Creative Craft Show was a stall for Black Sheep yarns. I'd not actually heard of Black Sheep yarns before, but apparently they're reasonably well known, and I went diving. Literally, there was this huge pile of yarn on the floor, all big bags, like 10 ball packs, a mountain of it on the floor. And at first I was like, oh yeah, but after a few minutes I was on my hands and knees and I was wading through, and my sister took a picture of me, so I'll pop the picture in. But oh my gosh, the discounts were incredible. I was, as I mentioned before, I was kind of hoping there would be a little bit more in the way of yarn at the craft show. It definitely wasn't like a yarn show, but I did manage to get some good bargains. And oh, actually, I've just thought of another one that I've got that I've forgotten to pick up, so I'll get that in a minute. But I will quickly show you. There's going to be a little bit of rustling, so bear with. My first acquisition is the Rowan Valley Tweed. Now, I already have a sweater quantities worth of this in like the ready colour called Embassy, but this is the navy blue colour called, is the name on here? No, just a number. 00109, and it's like a tweedy navy blue with little flecks of red in it and kind of little moments of grey as well. So really, really lovely. And I got 10 skeins for £30. Now, retail price would have been £90, 90, and I got it for 30. That's 60 quid cheaper. So I was like, yes please, under my arm, this is coming home with me. Now I have caked up, because when I decided to make my husband a hat to take with him, I thought, well, I'll use a little bit of this held double, but I just didn't get on with it in the context of a ribbed hat at all. It's very, very much like the Rowan felted tweed, in that there is no stretch to it at all. Like, it's like solid. It's a really strange, it's not strange, I guess. It's woolly and it feels nice, but I just don't know what to do with it. And I've got 2 sweater quantities worth of this. What I need to do is need to swatch. First of all, I think I need to do quite a big swatch, wash it, see how the fabric feels, and from that point on make a decision about what I'm going to use it for. For the red one that I've got, the reddy brown one, I was originally going to make a So Basic sweater by Max the Knitter, but I'm now not too sure if this is the right match for that pattern. And so yeah, who knows, but this was an absolute bargain. This might sit in my stash for a little while until the perfect pattern finds it, I don't know. But either way, it's probably going to become a jumper at some point. My mum really likes navy, and I was wearing my Petite Knit Friday slip over the other day, and she was like, ooh, she touched it and she went, this in navy please, hint hint. I was like, okay. So I could always use this guy held with some nice dark navy mohair and make my mum a Friday slip over at some point, because that's what she wants. Let's not talk about the other product that I'm doing for her. So that's my first acquisition. Not too sure what I'm going to be doing with that. But also in the bargain bin from Black Sheep Yarns was a big old bag of Serdar Sublime. Now, I have used this yarn before and I'm pretty sure, is it Serdar? No, it's not. I'm sure it was Serdar. Oh, so I'm guessing Sublime is its own thing. Is it? Okay. Oh no, this has got to be. I'm sure it was Serdar, but it's not. It's Sublime. It's Italian, and it's extra fine merino wool DK. And I got it in this lovely burgundy colour because I thought, ooh, Christmas jumper for myself, maybe. But I don't think that's going to happen. And this was £60 down to £20, so that's £40 cheaper than it would have been to get 10 balls of this. I did originally think Christmas jumper for myself potentially, and then I thought, oh, I really want to make Penny a festival dress by Petite Knit. I think it is a stunning pattern. I've not seen anything like it. There's obviously the festival sweater for kids, adult sweater, and the festival dress, and I thought, how gorgeous would it be if the body was in this red and the little kind of stripy, nuppy, bally things were in white, and it would look a bit like Christmas lights. I thought it'd be a really nice festive dress. However, the dress pattern is written for fingering weight yarn, and I knew that the jumper was DK weight yarn, so I assumed that the dress would be DK weight yarn, but it's not, it's fingering. Now I could do a swatch and do a little bit of maths and make the dress from the DK, but I worry it would be a little bit heavy for her, so I'm not too sure. This might become a festival jumper for her or a festival jumper for myself, I don't really know. But this is just kind of like, I think this is just a good thing to have in stash. It's absolutely lovely. It's 100% extra fine merino, and what do we get? 116 meters for 50 grams. So there you go, that's my second little one. I also got some like little cute like scissors and a handful of like vintage buttons, which I'm not going to show you now because I got like 10 of them, like 10 different little cards, but loads of cool little vintage buttons. I don't know if I'll ever use them, but I just really like buttons, so we'll see. And then I'm just going to go and grab my other yarn acquisition I got from the craft show. Bear with. Oh, I've just checked my time and we're already at an hour. Now, there was one stall there that was like independent, small business, hand-dyed yarn, but they were going out of business. They were closing their business, which is why they were at the show, because they're trying to get rid of all their stock. Can't remember what they're called, but it didn't really matter because they're not selling anymore anyway. And she specialised in alpaca. So she had some really beautiful hand-dyed skeins, but none of the colours were particularly my colour. And the ones that were my colour were lace weight, and I'm just like, I'm not really going to use lace weight. And because it was hand-dyed, I didn't want to hold it double either. But she did have quite a few skeins of her undyed 4-ply. So this is a alpaca cashmere silk combination, and this was £6 a skein. I mean, I can't even imagine how much it would be normally. It's undyed, and I haven't yet decided if I'm going to dye it myself or I'm just going to use it in this colour, because it's a gorgeous off-white colour. And what I would like to do with this is hold it with the Along Avec and a mohair, but in the white colour, and it will just create the most luxurious, drapey, fluffy fabric imaginable. And I can also imagine it at quite a loose gauge, not quite ranunculus gauge, but maybe love note gauge, so like 5mm, 4.5 potentially, just with the 2 strands, so loose and floaty. And it's so soft. It's absolutely gorgeous and luxurious, and I've got an idea in mind for this, but it would be a self-draft pattern. It's an idea I've had in my head for quite a little while, but I just haven't quite got round to doing it yet, and so I will probably use this in the new year when I've got time to cast on a new sweater for myself, because let's be honest, I've got quite a few sweater whips that are resting at the moment, so I need to clear those a little bit first. But then also, knowing me, I'll probably cast this on anyway. So yes, that's another little acquisition from the craft show. I have one more acquisition for you. It's a little bit acquisition heavy today, but this is quite a special one, as it was a little gift from my husband. Whilst he was in Sweden, he was able to take a little day trip over to Copenhagen, because he was in the south of Sweden in Malmö, and it was just like a 40-minute train ride over to Copenhagen. And I was like, now you don't feel like you have to, but if you get time, if you could pop into a yarn shop for me, that would be really, really great. And he did good. Boy did good. He spoke to one of his little Swedish contacts over there, and they were like, they sent him like a list of yarn shops to go to, which he was then able to send to me, and I went, oh my gosh. And the one he went to was called Sommerfuglen. Now, if you watch Jonathan Day's most recent episode, he also went to the shop on his trip to Copenhagen. Don't worry, he's not secretly my husband. Yeah, I don't think I'm quite his cup of tea. But yes, it's the same shop that Jonathan went to, and I asked my husband to get me something typically Danish that I couldn't get here. Now this shop stocks Sandnes, Filcolana, Isager and all that kind of stuff, but I can get all that over here. So I asked him to get me some of the, now I think it's called Helsfagen. I don't know, that's probably wrong and I'm sorry, but I will, obviously I'll put it in the description box below. But I think Petite Knit uses this quite a lot. And I think it's suggested in the zipper sweater maybe? I don't know, I was talking to lovely Caroline from Caroline's Knits about this. And she said yes, it's quite a popular Danish yarn, and lovely Inga of Knitting Traditions was also telling me that this is her favourite Danish sheep breed, and that it's like the one, it's the Danish sheep breed. So it's called Dansk Pelsuld 82, so I'm assuming that that's just like Danish and that's the breed, not too sure. And I think it's the Helsfagen. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, but I'll find out exactly who this is by and link it in the description box below if you're interested. But it's basically 100% wool, rustic, sheepy, woolly wool. Doesn't actually smell sheepy, which I appreciate because I don't actually like the smell very much. And what we have here is, what's the amounts? 400 meters to 100 grams, so it's a fingering weight. And it's telling me 3 to 4mm needles, 25 stitches per 10 centimeters. So yeah, and he got me this colour. Obviously I don't know any of the colours and they've got numbers, but I'm not going to read out all the numbers because that's boring. So I've got this lovely grey. This looks like it could be like a natural undyed colour. It's very, very heathered. You can see lots of different colours of grey in there. And then he also got me the white colour. Again, I'm pretty sure this is undyed. And what I like about this is you can see, oh no, that's just some of this to come up onto this. So obviously this is just the plain white. And then he also got me 2 colours, an orange and a red. And what I like is that within these, you can see that there's a dark fibre basically, very similar to the John Arbon sock yarns that I have, where you can see that dark Zwartles fibre running through it that isn't dyed, and it just creates this gorgeous, warm, heathered, just loveliness to it. And I'm going to do some close-ups of these for you, but oh my gosh, just he did really, really well. I absolutely love these colours. They're so me. I don't know how much these two would work together in a colour work context because they're very, very, very similar, but I mean, yummy, yummy. Now, when I said to him, bring me back some yarn, but if you do, choose a colour and get me a few, because I can't really do much with one skein. So I don't think he quite understood what I meant. I meant like choose one and get me like 3 skeins of this or whatever. So he got me 4 of the same type of yarn, but 4 different colours. So I'm currently struggling to find a pattern that I can use for this. However, he is going back in December, so he can always pick up a little bit more of whatever I do. What I've seen so far, I think I'm going to need maybe 2 more of these, so that this can be like my main colour in a colourwork sweater, and these are my contrast colours, and then whatever I have left over from these I can use for hats, mittens, everything like that. I really, really like the Anne Wenzel pattern. Oh, he's home. Hello! I'm nearly finished filming. Are you wearing your socks that I made you?
Yes.
Hey, I couldn't find them. I was like, oh God, have I lost them? So, I really like the Anne Wenzel coloured crosses jumper. I've been like eyeing it up for a long time, and I think this would work really, really nicely for it. But I would need a little bit more of this. So this is probably going to sit in stash for a little while, but will be an incredible colourwork jumper one day. I also really like the Marie Wallen designs, and I think this could be really nice. There's one, I think it's called Chestnut, and it's got 8 colours, but I could probably do it with the 4 colours, but again, I would probably need a little bit more. So yeah, who knows? That's all my acquisitions. Well done if you've made it this far. So normally we'd be moving on to a little bit of Knitty Chat right now, but oopsie. But in all honesty, I don't think I've got anything else to say. I haven't really got any recommendations for you this month because I've not really found anything new. I've not watched any new podcasts. I've basically spent 99% of my podcast watching time watching the Crazy Sock Lady Vlogmases. And I think I've been so like honed in on the projects that I've got that I've not really been keeping an eye out for new small designers or anything like that. Obviously there's Along with Anna, she's a new designer to me, but she's pretty prolific now, so I probably wouldn't put her in the small designer category. So yeah, sorry there's no recommendations for you. And also I think because I filmed my little vlog last week, I did quite a lot of my Knitty Chat in that vlog. So yeah, there's not much more to go on really, knit wise. Nothing's tickled my knitting pickle particularly. Is it time to let that phrase go? Are we done having our knitting pickles tickled? But I guess that's the name of the podcast, so we should stick with it. Life wise, guess we're just getting ready for Christmas now. As I mentioned, my husband's got quite a lot of time off work over December, and we've got some really lovely things booked in. We're going to Devon for a few days, just for literally like 2 or 3 days. Basically, my husband has just traded in his old car for a new Tesla, and he wants to test it out. Basically, it's got quite a high, I think it's got like 270 miles on like a full charge, but so we'd have to probably stop off and do like a supercharge on the way to Devon just to be sure, but he wants to test that out because he's got a bit of time off. We're going to go down not next weekend, weekend after. So we're going to Devon, and then we are also going to the Black Country Museum in December, which is like a living historical museum near where I live. We're in the Midlands obviously, and what they've basically done is they've taken real life old buildings from, I'm not sure exactly what the time period is, Victorian times, around that time, and picked them up and taken them to this site and rebuilt them. And you go and walk around this village, and there's actors and they're like playing out the roles. There's like an old pharmacy and an old like sweet shop and stuff, and it's where they film Peaky Blinders. And last time we went, you could see all the camera equipment all like stored away and like ready for them to film in this one specific bit. So if you like Peaky Blinders, then go and visit Black Country Museum. But that's going to be like our little Christmassy trip this year. We're taking the kids. There's going to be like, it's like a Christmas theme basically. We've been twice before and we don't get bored of it. It's such a nice thing to do. And yeah, so it's just going to be getting ready for Christmas, I think, over the next few weeks. So yeah, I think I am going to do Vlogmas. I'm not sure if, I definitely won't be doing it every day, I don't think, but I'm excited to give it a go. So I think over the next month, I may or may not do a podcast in December. It kind of depends. Maybe I'll do a little mini podcast with everything, all my Christmas gifts before I gift them, but that depends how many I get done. But it might be more of a case of I just vlog throughout December and then go back to the podcasts in January. So yeah, let me know if Vlogmas is your thing, because another thing that I'm a little bit unsure of is whether it would potentially like damage my engagement, because I certainly know with podcasts, like the more frequently, if I like post every week or every 2 weeks, there's less engagement on the videos. So if posting every day, is that just going to do the same? Are you guys going to stop watching? I don't know. I think you're either a vlogging person or you're not, and you can't please everyone. And I want to do it, so maybe I'll just do it. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoy watching knitting vlogmases, and also let me know if you've got any channels that you really enjoy their vlogmases. Obviously I've watched the Crazy Sock Lady, but I haven't watched any other vlogmases yet. I started to watch the Nitty Natty vlogmases, but I've only watched 1 or 2 so far. So let me know in the comments below any vlogmases you can recommend, and I can get some inspiration for my own. So with that, I'm going to round this up and I'm going to say thank you ever so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, leave me your fave emoji, and I will see you next week with a vlog, hopefully. Have a lovely weekend and I'll see you soon. Bye!